Boom, we're live. Pitchdeck Asia, powered by Asia Tech Podcast here in Singapore. My name is Graham Brown, joined in the studio all the way from Melbourne, Australia, Jitendra Shingrupe. Jit, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Graham. Thanks for having me here.
Well, it's great to have you here. Your journey from Melbourne to Singapore has not been a direct route. You've come, well, originally from Mumbai to Singapore, to Melbourne to Singapore. And now we're going to talk today about Mover.
Yeah.
Your co-founder, electric scooter sharing. Would you call it a ride-sharing service? Or
yeah, it's a ride-sharing service.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go there, talk about your journey there, the why behind all of that, the journey in growing that startup, and also, you know, where you go from here. A bit of background to yourself, Jit. Originally from Mumbai, India. When did you move to Singapore first?
So I completed my education back in India. After that, in 2010, I moved to Singapore. I lived here, worked here for 3 to 4 years. And after that, we migrated to Australia, Sydney. Yeah.
Good. So you were in banking originally, right?
Yeah. So I worked for a couple of banks, couple of consulting companies.
Here in Singapore?
Yeah, Singapore and Australia as well.
Okay. How would you describe yourself? Like, obviously, you've worked in banking. You also worked in KPMG as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Were you a tech guy? Are you a biz dev guy? Where do you sort of fall in that spectrum?
So it's like a sword with the two edges. So my qualification is like I did my engineering, so I'm good in technical as well as I have done my MBA.
Yeah.
So I'm also very good in business as well. So I consider myself as a techno-functional guy.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You bridge both worlds,
Absolutely.
which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move into the space of Mover.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's go there.
Yeah.
You had the background in banking, KPMG as well. And when did you set up Mover? We'll dive into all the market problem solution in a minute, but just put it on the table.
Yeah.
When was Mover born?
So it's like I was traveling to Sydney due to the business trip. And that time when I was traveling to Sydney CBD, it's like if you want to travel, you know, you have to rely on your own car or you have to go for a cab. And it's like chaos. Like if you take a cab, you're stuck in the traffic. If you bring your own car, it's hard to get you should be very lucky to get a parking spot.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that time we started thinking like, you know, why not to have something, you know, like electric kick scooter. And that time it was happening similar thing in USA. So we thought, why not to, you know, have similar kind of solution for, you know, Australia and other countries. And from that, you know, the spark started and, you know, we started working on this and analysis and everything started.
Okay, well, we'll look at your pitch deck. We'll dive into that and start by looking at the market. Just to put this into context, the company itself is registered in Australia?
Absolutely. So it's a Melbourne-based startup. Yeah, but we also registered in Singapore as well as New Zealand and India. Okay. So we are, we already started in India operation. We are waiting for permit and approval in other countries like Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. Yeah. Okay. But it's based in Melbourne-based startup actually.
All right. Your co-founder is in?
So my other co-founder, he is in India.
Okay. Where is he based in India?
Mumbai.
Right. Okay.
So our operation started in Mumbai.
Got it. Well, we'll expand a little bit into the operations and the team during the story of Mover. Maybe we can start by looking at the pitch deck and the market itself. I'm not going to go completely in chronological order of your pitch deck. We're going to dance around a little bit. If we can start here. You've mentioned already your example of Sydney and the challenges facing a commuter there. Let's talk about the data that you've got on this slide. And bear in mind, not everybody can see this. Some people are listening. So maybe be a bit descriptive with your data. Yeah. You say urban commute has serious challenges. We know that. But what are you telling us here on this slide? So
the thing is that on this slide, you know, if you see there are 6 million people, okay, they are rely on their, you know, their own private cars as well as the ride sharing taxis. So basically what we are targeting is like what we are trying to do is that get them off from their own car and taxis and, you know, get onto the electric kick scooter, which is good for everyone as well as society, community, you know, it's environment friendly, it is economical than, you know, cabs. So that's what we are trying to build actually.
Right. So the numbers here, 6 million is Sydney?
Yeah, it's a Sydney. Yeah. It's Australia-wide.
Okay. So there's 6.5 million cars?
Yeah.
Okay. And surely this problem has been solved already, no? Why, the problem of traffic and commute has been around for 40, 50 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
So why electric scooters? Why is that a solution to this problem?
So earlier we were having solution like a ride sharing, the cars, ride sharing companies, Uber and other players. Now, like everybody is moving to the electricity, considering the environmental impact, pollution. So in India or Australia, everybody is trying to reduce the pollution. So that's why electric kick scooter come into the picture, considering the technology wise. So electric scooter is becoming more smarter, intelligent. Because of the IoT devices. So we have developed our own IoT device, which is smart enough to understand the different environment, understand whether it is standing or falling. We have different alerts around it. So that's why it's the correct time to introduce electric kick scooter.
Yeah.
So that's
all right.
Yeah.
Good. We're going to have a look at the solution in a minute. Yeah. There's a bit more on the problem, the market statement as well. And if I move forward to slide 7 here, they talk about the opportunity in micromobility. This probably expands a little bit more on the problem and the market.
Yeah.
You talk about here the purpose of electric scooter rides and also the huge opportunity. Explain to me. There's a couple of sets of data going on here.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does this say? This slide.
So basically, earlier the electric kick scooter was its purpose as a fun ride, not for as a commute purpose. It was like a fun ride. It was like made for the kids, and then suddenly it's become as a main ride, main transport for the micro mobility for the adults. Okay, and along with that, as I said, if you see the ride sharing company, 60% of their rides is more belong to the micro mobility, which is between 1 to 4 kilometer.
Right.
So for that particular distance, it is best to have an electric kick scooter.
So explain that. That's a really important point. 60% of ride sharing platforms, you're talking about the Grabs, the Ubers,
absolutely,
so cars based.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are 0 to 2 kilometers in?
It's 1 to 4 kilometers.
1 to 4 kilometers.
That's the distance. Okay,
that's what you define as micro mobility.
Absolutely, that's the definition of micro mobility. So what we are targeting is that segment of customer, who is who is hiring the car or renting a car, basically for that particular short distance.
Why is a scooter better positioned for that? Because if a Grab or Uber driver can pick them up and deliver them 2 kilometers, it's job done.
Absolutely. It's, as I said, it's economical, it's environmental friendly, and it's easy to manage. It's not going to create a chaos on the road. It's easy to park, and it's easy to fold, carry with you. So there are lots of benefit electric scooter bring compared to the private taxis or these ride sharing companies.
Yeah. Because you're not going to do a 20-kilometer trip on a scooter, are you?
Nah.
Okay, so this is okay. Yeah. All right, I gotcha. Why you mentioned, Jit, about the data point that most. If we can go back into the pitch deck here, there was a pie chart that most scooters were purchased for, as you say, joyriding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like riding for fun rather than joyriding itself. So I mean, and also running errands. But mostly for fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why is that an opportunity or a challenge in any sense?
So I feel it's a good opportunity. You're gonna reach from point A to point B.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're gonna have fun as well.
Right. Okay.
So it's gonna be getting both the thing. It's like a fun ride as well as you're gonna reach where you want to go.
Yeah.
So it's just like that, and it's so as I said, it's a scooter is first invented for kids just to just for just like a kick scooter.
Yeah.
And then they thought, okay, why not to use this as for small traveling for the small distance. And then we started thinking about, okay, let's use this as the main, transport for the micro mobility.
Okay.
And from there, the journey started there,
Do you own the scooters?
Yes, I have my own scooter.
No, but do you, as a company, own the scooters?
No, we don't own the scooter. Basically, so we have the different manufacturer. So we have tie-up with them. So they manufacture scooter for us. So we have our own design.
Right.
So they manufacture scooter as per our own design.
Right. But who owns who pays for the scooter?
We pay for the scooter.
So you own the scooters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you own the scooters and then you rent out those scooters to customers.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. And you fit in some IoT device, like a transponder or something like GPS chip.
Absolutely, to track the thing. Yeah.
All right, great. So we understand that you are addressing the micro-mobility segment, which is 1 to 4 kilometers.
Yeah.
60% of all ride sharing is aimed at that market, but it's inefficient and also not particularly environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Also not great for smart cities.
Absolutely.
It's kind of dumb cities, really, isn't it? You know, if you've got lots of traffic doing very short errands.
Yeah. I also want to add one point on this platform, actually, what you described. So we started with this, what you just now mentioned, like, we own the scooter and we give that scooter, for short ride or for one-way rental. Okay. But our ultimate goal is to create a platform, okay, where customer can bring their own scooter.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something different. Okay. So customer can bring their own scooter. They can rent to us and they can earn money from us. And the same scooter, other rider can use it. So that is our model. That's what we are trying to build. But to get that to give that confidence to the customer that okay, you bring your scooter and you earn, like, for example, $100 in a day, for example. To give that confidence, we need to show them some numbers, some data, and we should have some success story before we go and ask them, okay, buy 100 scooter, put it on our platform, and you can earn certain numbers. So to get that numbers, we started with our own our own scooter. And after that, slowly, we're going to get into that model where, we will ask customer to,
Got it. You're going to build up customer knowledge as well.
Absolutely. So our ultimate aim is to build a platform or ecosystem, basically. That's what we are trying to build.
So the ultimate goal here, or one of the long-term goals, is that you are a platform that you don't necessarily own your own inventory.
Correct.
You basically allow me, who has bought a scooter, to then lease that out to whoever you have on your network.
True.
It's like Grab or Uber, but without drivers, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And if your data is correct in saying that most people buy this stuff for fun originally, then there's probably a lot of scooters sitting around not being used. Do you have any data on that? I'll just be curious to know.
No, currently we don't have any data on that one. We are trying to figure it out, but it's like it's very early in this space, so it's very hard to get that number. Some scooters are there, but they are not fit for using for sharing thing because the mileage is very low. So we have like our specification. So when we get into that kind of structure or model, we will tell the customer, okay, this is the specification, this is the place from where you can buy, and you're gonna get a bigger discount. Obviously, because if you go to, for buying scooter, it's like a B2C.
Yeah.
But if you go via our channel, you're going to save a lot of money. So it will be kind of that arrangement. So you're going to have your, you're going to achieve multiple things. Like you use your scooter over the weekend, and Monday to Friday, you can earn money from that scooter.
Yeah.
We're going to maintain your scooter. So it's lots of benefit to the customer and the rider as well.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of any sharing economy platform that, effectively what they address is latency of the asset. So, for example, that asset could be a bedroom in a house or a car. But the problem is that vast majority of the time they don't get used. So, for example, if you have a house with spare bedrooms where Airbnb started, you can't then simply just lease it out or rent it out because there was no platform for it. You either sort of rented the whole house or you sold the house, right? But Airbnb came along and identified this latency, and you're applying a similar model to scooters. There's a lot of latency in the ownership of an asset, which is a scooter, right?
Yep.
And probably, like cars, they don't move 95% of the time, right? They're just sort of sitting in a driveway.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's now look at the journey in terms of how far you've come. So you set up the company June last year.
Absolutely.
And now you're about, this is in March, by the way, for anybody who might be listening. So this is like now 10 months in.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about that journey.
Yeah, sure. So we, as I said, we are Melbourne-based startup.
Yeah.
So we started in last year, somewhere in June, July, we started. And we established our first company in Melbourne, Australia. And then we started from there, and we then established company in Mumbai, then Australia, then New Zealand, as well as in Singapore. We started our operation already in India. In the month of March. This month only we started. February we did pilot testing, and March is like full go. So we started in and Australia and New Zealand and Singapore. We are waiting for the permit from the government because this the game in which we are, right? So this is more, it's like going with the government. So you need a lot of approval from the government, and with the help of government, you can, because you're building something, bigger platform. We are building something, future of transportation. So you need a lot of support from the government. So you need a lot of permits and license. So that's what we are doing now. So we are part of NSW e-scooter working group. So we are part of that group. We also applied for the permit to the Singapore LTA. Hope to get it by June. Yeah, so that's where we are now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Let's go back into that slide a minute. You have launched and you're live in Mumbai.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the scooter, for those that aren't looking at the pitch deck and just listening, there's two. You've got a kick scooter, which is planned for here in Singapore and New Zealand, Australia. But in India, it's an electric scooter, as in a motorbike scooter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the situation there in Mumbai? That is live. People can actually use that service.
Yes.
Can you give us some numbers in terms of how many scooters you got out there, or how many users you got, for example?
Sure. So we got a different scooter for India market and different scooter for outside India market. Obviously, India got a different infrastructure. Road condition is different. The rider is different. So that's why we thought to launch something different in India, considering the different customer, different requirements. Outside India, we have a kick scooter. And in terms of number, so we launched 100 scooter back in India.
Yeah.
And currently, we per scooter we are getting around 4 to 5 rides. That's our numbers. Currently, we have everything is keyless. Everything is operated through the mobile app. You need to scan the QR code. Scooter is unlocked. There is no key required. We provide a helmet to the rider. The helmet is inside, between below under the seat. You get a helmet, and if you want to stop the scooter, there is a button in the app. You just need to press the button, and the scooter will be stop or resume. That kind of facilities are provided in the app. And 100 scooter, and per scooter is around 4 to 5 rides. We are having that traction we are getting now. We are targeting around 10 ride by end of this year.
Okay. So you've had 4 to 5 rides per scooter already.
Yep.
And so I understand, because there are some platforms that have come before you, like the bike sharing and so on. So there have been issues with those.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've learned from that as well.
Absolutely.
My thoughts would be, looking at any kind of platform like this is, first of all, I mean, these are basic questions I want to know. So when I finish using the scooter, do I just sort of dump it somewhere or leave it somewhere? Or is there like parking stations where I have to return it? How does that work?
So as I said, like every country has a different structure. In Singapore, we have that, a luxury to park it properly on the footpath.
Yeah.
But back in India, we don't have that kind of luxury. So we have different spots, identified spots where, our rider can put the scooter or, park the scooter safely.
Yeah.
Same structure we are thinking about Australia, but right now there are lots of things are not clear from the government. So it's based on the government guidelines. So but we like to park it on the footpath. That's a better thing to have it rather than creating different locations.
Yeah.
Because again, that location if it is far from the rider house, again he has to walk another 200-300 meter. So we are not actually giving that end-to-end, connectivity.
All right.
Yeah.
So the deal is, in Mumbai, they return it to like a parking station. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's then the end of their contract. They finish paying for it. Okay. What about, for example, the issue with, like any kind of platform, theft, damage, people just sort of dumping the scooter somewhere? What have you learned? I mean, that's going to happen anyway, isn't it? Because it's a numbers game. But what have you learned with that in your 100 scooters?
So we learn from others' mistakes, actually. So that's why I say this scooter is pretty much intelligent scooter. So we have that kind of alert. As soon as scooter fall on the ground, we come to know, the scooter is, fall down. So suddenly, like immediately our staff can go and, he can park the scooter properly. At the same time, we have geofencing feature, so that as soon as the scooter goes beyond that particular fence, we get different alerts from the scooter. So this kind of things we have, and apart from that, we, as I said, like from the last in our pilot, we learned lots of things. Like our product, we improve a lot of product, and we we before we launched this, we did a lot of market research. So we got like around 800 riders feedback. So research we did, primary and secondary data based on that one, and we whatever the solution we have built now, right? So it's based on the customer feedback. So we ask them, what kind of service you are looking for, what kind of price bracket you are comfortable for. So this kind of question we ask, and based on that we build our pricing model, we build our business model.
Yeah. So 800 riders, you spoke to them, you got their feedback. What did you learn from that? Some of the insights. What do you know now about this service that you didn't know when you started?
So a couple of things, like when we started, right, we thought, okay, we're going to just go for per minute rides. But when we received the feedbacks, right, a lot of people, they are more also interested in per hour and per day. So back in India, our per hour is very popular, option they are opting for. Few category, like 30% people are there out of 100, like they also like for monthly monthly option, because they want to substitute their car for our scooter, and so they are very happy with this option because it's much cheaper than bringing the car and struggling for the parking spot and all those things, and sometimes somebody damaged the car, those kind of things. Along with that, we also providing insurance, so answering your question about theft and those things. So no doubt we have IoT to get it alert, if this kind of activity is going to happen. So we get alert, and we have insurance. So we are luckily covered.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So you've learned a lot in the process with 800 riders and the 100 scooters that you have. What kind of if you take someone like Mumbai, how many scooters do you need to cover a city like that? Because it's one of the biggest cities in the world, right? So, realistically, to have, do you have a rule about a scooter must be within a certain amount of meters before it is useful? How far will people travel to a scooter?
Yeah.
Because you must know, like, if it's more than X hundred meters, people won't go to it, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two rules basically before we, deploy more scooter. First rule is to every scooter should be used 3 times in a day, minimum. That's the minimum rule before we deploy another scooter. That's the first rule. Second thing is considering, how far, because in India we have different, spot location where, customer can drop the scooter. So currently we got around 10 spots in Vashi. Okay, Vashi is the new Mumbai suburb. So every spot is, 1 kilometer away from each other. We are target to increase that number, but again, there are a lot of other challenges are there, infrastructure, as I said. So we are working on that, and slowly we will come. Our ideal distance between the two spots is around 500 meter. That's the ideal distance what we are looking for. But we're gonna achieve that as well very soon.
Okay, good. Compare what you're doing to the bike sharing apps, like for example, here in Singapore. We've had like OFO and all these Chinese bike sharing apps that came with a lot of ceremony a year ago and then disappeared. And now you can see a lot of them sort of lying around, rusting by canals and so on. Now, anybody who hears a ride sharing app may or sort of naturally think about those starting off, because they were the forerunners, very expensive, learned a lot of mistakes and so on. How are you different? How is Mover different to those push bike sharing apps and those push bike sharing platforms?
Okay, so first thing is like how to before we deploy the scooter. That's why I say we have certain parameter to measure before we deploy the scooter. First parameter is number of how many times our scooter is being used, and we goes with the demand and supply. We don't want to make our footpath as a dumping ground for the scooter. We don't want to make that. Like, you have $1 in your account, so just buy the scooter and, put it on the platform. We don't want to do that kind of activity, honestly speaking. For us, ROI is most important. So that is the first thing. Second thing is, I feel why, the other the previous startup, the bike sharing startup failed is, because I think they missed the initial analysis, like, demand and supply thing, I think. And those bicycle, they were like, it's not that smart compared to the electric scooter. Electric scooter is much smarter than them. So we build our own IoT device, which is based on, the lots of other parameter alerts are there. You monitor the temperature, you monitor the, surrounding. We also planning to have a camera in the IoT device, on the scooter, but in future. So those kind of things, you have liberty to deploy. You have liberty to install on the scooter rather than bike.
Yeah. Why does it make sense to make your device smart? Why don't you just produce many of them very cheap? If that gives people, I mean, you could possibly produce electric scooter for $10 if you really push down the manufacturing cost, right? What's the added advantage of putting cameras or IoT devices in it?
So it's like it's economy of scale, right? So obviously, if you go increase the number, obviously the cost will come down, no doubt about it. Making the scooter more smarter and intelligent is to meet the customer need. Like for example, putting the camera, just to give an example, putting the camera, you will come to know where the rider is riding the scooter, whether he's riding on the footpath, whether he's riding on the bicycle lane. So for example, in certain state or a certain country, you are not allowed to ride on the footpath, and if there is a bicycle lane is already available. So if the rider is riding on the bicycle lane, and like he's not riding on the bicycle lane, but if there is a lane is there, then obviously we can send an alert to the rider that please don't ride on the footpath, better be on the bicycle lane. So those kind of alert and intelligent decision we can made based on the obviously on the the cameras and those. So basically these are the different touch point to collect the data. So camera is one of the touch point to collect the data from the customer, and on basis of that obviously you can take a multiple decisions.
Why do you care about that? Why do you care about this? Why do you care about ride sharing, bicycles? Because there are many things you could be doing with your skills. Why is this important to you?
So first thing is like I personally faced that challenge back in Sydney. So that was the first spark, that like I started, what is this? What's happening? I can't park my car in the Sydney CBD. It's hard to get taxi. And second thing is like I personally believe in this concept. Actually, I personally strongly believe, and I know this is gonna happen. Like this will become a mainstream gonna become a mainstream very soon. And along with that, you have like currently it's like around 61 billion. The market share currently it's micro mobility, and by 2025 it's gonna be around 218 billion market. So it's gonna be a big market. And as I said, like very soon you will see all other these ride sharing companies like Uber already bought Jump and other scooter sharing. So they also started believing this, and this is the future. So it's better to be with in the future and build something which is as well as fun ride as well as bringing you from one place to another place.
When you said you personally believe in the concept, is that micromobility you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Why do you personally believe it? I mean, we've all driven cars and got stuck in a jam and thought, screw this is no good, I want to change it. But not every one of us the next day thought, I'm going to start a startup about this because I faced traffic jam. So why does that matter to you? Why do you care about micromobility, and particularly in the context of Mumbai maybe, or what does it mean?
So there are a couple of things why I started actually this thing. First thing is, as I said, like it's when I it's like some few things suit your personality. So it's like because as I having a scooter, I always ride a scooter to my workplace or just as a fun riding here and there. But I never thought about using the scooter as kind of transporting things. And when this thing came to the picture, it's also highlighted in US, and some other player already offering this as a solution, and a lot of customer back in US, they are liking this as a solution. So we thought, okay, why not to try that kind of things here. That is the first thing. Second thing about Mumbai, right? So I always wanted to bring something new, like I never thought about building something which is just like copy from one place to another, or which doesn't have potential. So this idea, I strongly believe it has a potential to grow further. And at the same time it's also helping community. So those kind of things we have. So I thought it's a good to start.
What is the future like if micromobility grows? What does that future look like in places like Mumbai, for example? You said it helps community.
Absolutely.
In what way? We can envisage a world without cars, for example. I mean, that may not be in our lifetime, but what will this do? How will this change behaviors? How will this change cities?
So what we are trying to do is that, or what will be happen, like in what you say, in the perfect world, is that when the person is stepping out to go to the nearest public transport, they will think about the electric scooter, and it should be like available outside his house, and he take the scooter, go there, he park the scooter, and he will use the public transport, and the same scooter will be used by some other person. So it kind of sharing thing, so that you obviously you reducing a number of vehicle on the scooter or vehicle on the roads. You are helping also for environment. This is economical as well. So there are multiple advantage, so it's just like killing many birds with one stone.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that whole issue of taking the scooter from my house to the MRT. Let's say let's for argument's sake, that's a kilometre. I'm not going to call a Grab for that. I could do, but that's just really lazy. And I have to wait 10 minutes for a Grab to be going in that direction in the morning as well. If I'm commuting, chances of getting a Grab or an Uber at 8:30 in the morning are very small. So that 1 kilometre, your micro-mobility segment. Now, I'm not going to buy a scooter just to ride it to the station every day. And especially leave it there. So if I could rent one, to me, that sounds great because, I'm literally buying a scooter for 20 minutes a day?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't move 98% of the time, right?
Absolutely.
So I could rent that, and then somebody else coming the other way could rent that. And as long as there was enough stock to make sure that there's always one.
Absolutely.
Which is the challenge growing this long term, right?
Yeah.
But that would then mean that I could bypass having to fork out the money. I think not so much the money for me personally as well, but the wastage. Even though it's not a lot of money to buy a scooter, I don't like waste.
Absolutely.
Especially when we're conscious of how that impacts the environment.
Absolutely,
and so on.
yeah. True.
All right, good.
Or you can buy the scooter and rent to our platform in future.
There you go. I mean, you're now appealing to a lease market, right? People who will understand if I buy 100 scooters and then I can make 12% income or yield off that 100 scooters.
Yeah.
And, with losses and so on, net yield 12%, that's a good return.
Absolutely.
That's as good as investing in a house or however, right? So, okay, interesting. Let's talk lastly about where we're going with the team, the ask, and the last part of the journey here as well. We can go back into the pitch deck. Just towards the end of the pitch deck, we're just going to jump right ahead. Last bit on the achievements, just to wrap up on this before we look at the fundraise and the team as well. Just to summarize, you've incorporated Australia, New Zealand and Singapore. You've mentioned about licensing. And obviously, any investor's going to be thinking about what are the issues here to get approval here. You say on your deck here, you've received Queensland state approval.
Yeah.
How long is this process to get approved?
So unfortunately, it's a lengthy process actually because we are dealing with the government. So it takes a time, and obviously there is impact on the customer community. So they also it's fair enough from the government point of view to take time before they want to introduce something new. And what happened with the bike, the past history, it was not that great. So they also want to take a lot of measure before they allow something new to the community. So that is the first thing. It took a lot of almost 6 months for us to get that confirmation from Transport Minister. And so we already received that. So the next step is go to the council and get the permit, and we can start the service in Brisbane very soon.
Okay, what is that permit? Because is there such a thing as a ride sharing permit? I mean, you've got to be pretty proactive, progressive council to have those. Does exist?
Yeah. So currently they don't have any kind of, because this is something new. So they also not sure, what kind of permit they're going to issue, because for them also it's new. So for them also it's kind of a learning. So it's a learning for everyone. They never thought this kind of electric scooter, someone will come and, they will, make a business out of it. So it's new for everyone. Everyone is learning. So that's why it's taking a little bit time. But no doubt we are improving slowly. And so they are also building a new rules around it.
Yeah.
So they are also learning from other countries like US, Singapore.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
When you go to councils or the local transport authority, whoever it is, what is the pitch effectively that, why is this good for your city? Obviously, it's good for you because you can build a business out of it and be profitable. Yeah. But why is that good for, a Singapore, or why is it good for a Queensland city like Brisbane, for example? What's the pitch? So
currently, we have if you take an example of US, right? So with the help of this electric scooter, a lot of people, they stop using their own car for, the small traveling for small distance. Yeah. So that is the one small win we normally we go to the council, we say, okay, this is the small win, and this is great, benefit to the environment, as I said, and people are believing this kind of sharing, kind of new culture, so which is good for everyone. So that is the small victory. Second thing is we also tell them which will reduce the traffic, which will reduce the number of vehicle on the roads.
Yeah.
So they are very happy with that kind of things, because they are already struggling with the parking issues and the traffic and those kind of things. So we are giving them a new solution which is good for everyone.
Okay. Just out of interest, can you white label that for a council? Could you go to a council and say, okay, you can buy this service effectively off us, we'll white label it for you, and you can generate revenue? Is that possible? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, why not? But nobody asks us as of now. But we don't mind to do that as well.
It's possible. I'm just thinking about potential long term, right? Because councils are always strapped for cash. So if you can find a way of making money for them and improve the environment directly,
Absolutely.
I'm sure they'll be interested. Last 2 slides, I want to talk about the team. Jit, obviously yourself up there, Jitendra Shingrupe from Melbourne, and your co-founder who's in Mumbai, Sandesh. How did you guys know each other?
So we know each other we are classmates actually. So we studied together. So I know Sandesh from last I think 15, 16 years now.
Okay.
Yes. So
how do you complement each other in terms of skills?
So Sandesh is very good in marketing. So he was a product manager in the multinational pharma company. So he was like a product head. And he was handling the product and brand building, those kind of things. So he's very good in that area. So he take care of marketing, and now he's also looking into the operation of Mumbai.
Yeah.
For myself, I as I said, I'm technical and functional guy. So I'm looking into the technical things as well as a little bit product development. So that's what my area. So
there's the two of you. Who else is on the payroll?
So currently we are the 2 co-founders.
Okay.
Along with that, we got around 10 people working for us. So 4 people are working for software, and the 6 people are working, basically in operation. We got 1 person in Australia, 1 person in Singapore as well.
Right. And so, the outsourced, are they outsourced, the software people, or are they in-house?
So they are in-house.
Right, in Mumbai?
No, they are not in Mumbai, but in Maharashtra.
Okay, in India, right? So fine. And to grow this, what kind of people do you need in the team? What sort of, if you could write down your shopping list of skills that you need to expand the business? So
first we want more engineer for, improving technological wise. Second, we need a marketing guys, to make it more awareness and creating more PR for our product. And third is obviously we also need operation guys. So we need people in all the areas, no doubt about it. But this business, initially we're going to spend more money in buying the scooter. As I said, to give that confidence to the customer before they rent their own scooter in our platform.
Right. And can you tell us a little bit about the economics of that? I mean, obviously you don't want to give away too much, but, so how much would it cost to buy a scooter roughly?
So you can see we recover the cost of scooter in first 20 days.
Right.
So that is you can say first 20 days. Yes, you heard correct.
you buy the scooter and recover the cost on the scooter in 20 days?
Yeah, that's correct.
How many rides in 20 days?
So what we are estimated is around 4 to 5 rides in a day for outside India. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And scooter, what we are getting, the price. So that the cost of the scooter we can recover in 20 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the good thing about it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's just the basic scooter. You're going to put the IoT device and the engineering costs money, right? But the actual chassis itself and the motor.
So majority of cost is recovered in that one. 20 days. Yeah.
Very interesting. Next, you're raising funds at the moment. So let's talk about that. What are you raising? Your seed stage investment?
So currently it's a bootstrap.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we are raising is we are raising around 1 million. That's what we are looking for.
1 million Sing dollars?
USD.
US dollars. Okay.
So raising 1 million USD.
Yeah.
And as I said, we are going to buy scooter out of 70% going to use for the scooter, buying the equipments. And the remaining 10% is for, as I said, building the team and 10% for marketing.
Okay, so the major cost is buying roughly, because I don't want to drill down on the actual unit cost, but how many scooters would that? How many cities and how many scooters would that buy?
So as I said, we are targeting 4 countries as of now.
Yeah.
And with that kind of money, we can go pan India.
Yeah.
Then second thing, we are talking about 3 cities in Australia and Singapore, and 2 cities in New Zealand.
Right. would there be 1,000, 10,000 scooters, 100,000 scooters?
It's again, as I said, like there are a couple of things, with like how many scooters. It's not our own,
Right.
The choice is like, as you know, must be knowing, Singapore government they put the limitation on the number of scooter. You can't put more than 500 scooter. So we are still waiting for the guidelines from the Australia and New Zealand government.
Yeah.
So you never know, like if Australia government say you can't put more than 500 scooter, so
Right.
we're stuck there. So it's based on like, guidelines from the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where you get the scooters getting made in China?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. Fine. Good. I'm sure an investor wants to know more, but that's more of a personal face-to-face conversation they can have with you because they'll be curious about how many scooters $700,000 buys. But that is obviously a private conversation they can have with you. Fantastic. And you talked a bit about the next stage is growing the team, rolling out in the different cities. There will be people who watching your story, listening to what you are trying to build here, Jit, and they may be interested as potential hire. They may be people who want to invest. They may be potential partners as well.
Yeah.
Are there any particular doors that you would like to open, or people with backgrounds that you would like to talk to, whether it is, for example, team or investors? Because there's a lot of money out there at the moment. It's not difficult to get money so much. It's harder to get smart money.
Absolutely, yeah.
So are you looking for somebody who can open the door, who has a background in mobility, or somebody has a background in local government, or is there anything on your list that you want to share now?
Yeah. So in investor, we are no doubt we are looking for money, but along with that, we're also looking for the guidance, networking, So those kind of things also we are looking for. So because we strongly believe 1 + 1 is not 2, it's like 11. So we need that kind of, help from them, because with the help of that, we can create synergy and we can grow faster. And we believe in growth is in multiplies, not in like,
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. So,
but synergy in what sense? What kind of background would you like them to have had? Because somebody in like med tech or health tech might not be relevant so much to what you're doing.
Honestly speaking, I don't think that way, honestly, because even though if you're from the pharma or medical, background, but you still know how to take the decision, on the basis of cost benefit analysis, you already took the decision, a lot of decision. So those kind of things. And if you need a sector specific, knowledge or, data, we can gather those data. So that's not difficult. So we provide you data, you provide, wealth of your knowledge or experience, and together, we can, grow faster.
Excellent. Jit, it's been a real privilege speaking to you. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. How long are you in Singapore for?
So I'm going to here for next 3 days.
3 days? And you're heading back to Melbourne?
No, I'm going to go to India to meet my team. And after that, I'll go back to Melbourne again. Yeah.
There's a lot of flying going on, but that is the entrepreneur lifestyle. And it's great that you came here all the way from Melbourne. And you're here for the event on Wednesday as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, looking forward to that, looking forward to the discussions that you have with the angel investors as well as with other founders in the room. I'm sure that's going to be interesting for you for those conversations.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's Jitendra Shingrupe and Mover. Obviously, there's a lot more on the data side that we want to know, but that's a coffee that somebody can have with you in a conversation, right? And thanks for making the effort for coming here as well, because I know you are in the same region in theory, but it is a far away from, I don't know how long that flight is from Melbourne.
It's around 6 hours.
6 hours? It's not too bad.
And got delayed again.
Well, it's great that you're here. So make full use of your time. We'll help you out with introductions as well. Wishing you all the best with your journey as well. Keep us updated as well. We'd love to have a part 2 with you guys at Mover and see how the expansion plans are going.
Yeah, and thanks for giving the opportunity to present ourselves. Thanks a lot for that, Graham.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.